Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us, from all of us here at the ASAP Network.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? What's up? Welcome to another episode of Sports Minute. And tonight I am joined by none other than the man from the Midwest, Brandon Herrera. And then, of course, I'm also joined by J-Mac. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing good. It's baseball opening day eve, I guess we can call it.
Eve. The Eve. Okay, so with that, before we go ahead and jump into our topics.
Whoa, hold on.
We do have to talk one thing here. Okay.
Just say one thing real quick. Mm-hmm. How about that hot new intro for the show, man? That's just awesome. And check out all the other shows. They're got some openings too. We're bringing up some new things here on All Sports, All Plays. So check us out on those.
I love it. Okay, now before we jump into our topics here, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about how you can win one of those free T-shirts. So, J-Mac, why don't you go ahead and tell me a little bit about how you can win one of those shirts?
Well, it's not hard. It's one of the easiest things you will do. Like Will Polston said, by the way, haven't seen this intro. Cool stuff, folks. That's it. All you got to do is post something like that, and you get your name in the drawing to be Viewer of the Month. By the way, it's the last day of the month. It's the last day to get yourself in there. Your last opportunity will be this show right here. Right here, this show is your last chance to get in there for Viewer of the Month. So make sure you do that. And if you do that, we tally it up, and it'd be Viewer of the Month, and you get one of those great shirts.
All right, J-Mac, now what if you can't come on a comment? How can you get one of those shirts?
Well, if you can't come on a comment, that's almost easier. There is a messenger thing through Facebook. Hit one of us up. Look up anybody that has All Sports, All Plays in their profile. Send us a message. Say, I got to have me one of those shirts. And here's the thing. You got $20 in your pocket. You'll get one. Maybe you get a little change back. $14.99 plus shipping and handling. That is it. That's how you do it. It's that easy. Size is small to 2X. Little bigger size, a little bit more money. But we can still get you one. No problem.
All right, I love it. So as everybody knows, every week one of our topics is we cover a top 5 quarterback list of a current team that plays in the NFL. Well, this week was kind of interesting because we actually decided to go with the Tennessee Titans / because you have to put a /. So it'd be Tennessee Titans / Houston Oilers / Houston Titans. Yeah, so there was a whole bunch of Tennessee Titans, Houston teams that we kind of had to mix in there and say, you know what, the top 5 list still. But this was kind of entertaining because you actually could have gone multiple ways on this top 5 list. But J-Mac, you get the pleasure to go first on your top 5 list.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I'm going to start with a Tennessee Titan. He was with the team when they were the Titans. Number 5 for me is Vince Young. He wasn't great in the NFL. He was with the Titans for, about 5 years, maybe 4 years, and he started 47 games for them during that time. He was 30-17 as a starter, so he had a winning record. He threw 46 touchdowns. He did throw 51 interceptions, which is more. But he added an element to the game that really they hadn't seen since Steve McNair. And so he had also 1,380 rushing yards and 12 scores. He led them to the playoffs in 2007. So that was kind of his claim to fame. So to me, he's number 5. He did do some good things down in Tennessee. Number 4. I struggled with number 4 because I went with Marcus Mariota, and it's just because of what he did there. He started 61 games for them, which I don't think anyone realized how many games he actually started in Tennessee. He had a losing record, but he had more touchdowns than picks. That's the reason why he's ahead of Vince Young for me. 76 touchdowns, 44 interceptions. He rushed for 1,399 yards and 11 touchdowns. But he'll forever be remembered for the play in the playoffs when he threw the ball. It got tipped at the line of scrimmage. He caught it and then dove into the end zone. So he threw himself a touchdown pass in the playoffs. He'll be remembered for that in Tennessee. Number 3. Now, 3 through 1 was pretty simple as far as this franchise goes. For me, George Blanda's at number 3. Now, he started 82 games. He went 44 and 38. He threw for 19,149 yards, 165 touchdowns, 189 interceptions. But he did take them to the championship game in each of his first 3 seasons. He won 2 of them. They remain the franchise's only championships. He's in the Hall of Fame. He played 26 years total, not all with the Titans/Oilers. But again, how can you keep George Blanda out when he did win their only 2 championships in franchise history? Then we come to number 2. The number 2 and number 1 will probably be a toss-up, and I'm sure you guys will have your opinions on this. To me, number 2 is Warren Moon. He played 10 seasons with the Oilers. He threw for 33,685 yards, 291 touchdowns, 233 interceptions. He made 6 All-Pro teams and then 3 more with the Minnesota Vikings. Like, think about that. He made 9, and he made 6 in 10 years. He went 70 and 69 in his career, made the playoffs 6 straight seasons, but never advanced past the second round. He's a Hall of Famer, and he didn't even start his NFL career until he was 28 years old. But in 10 years, he threw for 291 touchdowns. So almost 30 touchdowns a season with the Titans/Oilers. Number 1 for me is Steve McNair. And he was a 3rd overall pick in 1995. He sat behind Chris Chandler for his first 2 years, taking over full-time. It was the franchise's first season in Tennessee, was in 1997. He led them to their only Super Bowl. Now, they went to the championship with Blanda. They went to their only Super Bowl with Steve McNair. They called him Air McNair. He spent 9 seasons there. He won 91 games in 9 seasons as their starter. That's quite impressive. That's 10 wins a season on an average. He threw for 27,141 yards, 156 touchdowns, and 103 picks. But what was more impressive about Steve McNair is that he ran for over 3,000 career yards and 36 touchdowns on the ground. He led them to the playoffs 4 times. He's second in franchise history in passing yards, touchdowns, and games started by a quarterback, but he's first in wins and led them to their only Super Bowl. So, yes, we can argue that he's second in every category and should be second, but he's number 1 in wins, and he led them to their only Super Bowl. That's why I have him at number 1. And with the way that he ran, the way he ran for 36 career touchdowns. So,
yeah, it's kind of funny though too, because Will actually left a comment that said Derrick Henry's 2 for 3 for 14 yards and a touchdown, and I'm not man enough to tell him that he can't be a top 5 quarterback for the Titans.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Henry. Yep, you're top 5.
Right?
I'm not man enough either.
All right, so Brandon, go ahead and give me your top 5 list.
Well, I got Young at 5th. I'm sorry, I got Young at 5th. 2 Pro Bowls. I mean, J-Mac covered everything else. I have Dan Pastoroni at 4. I thought he had the only Houston Super Bowl. I was just kind of fact checking, but I could be wrong. I have him 4th, and then Blanda number 3, and then I got McNair 2, even though he was probably one of my favorite quarterbacks. But I got Moon number 1. I mean, he was a proven winner. He threw up so many stats in every team he played for. So to me, Moon is number 1.
I mean, I won't disagree completely with your list, Brandon. The only reason for me is because of what McNair did on the ground.
No,
36
you're
rushing
absolutely
touchdowns.
Right. Yeah.
He's got the most wins ever. That's the only reason between the 2 and the 1 for me. But
yeah,
So
more
what-
wins than Moon.
he did. He had 91 wins, which is the most in franchise history. Moon was only 1 game over 500. He was 70 and 69 in his career.
Okay.
Yep.
So what's kind of funny, J-Mac, is I basically have the same exact list as you. So I don't want to be redundant and cover every single stat that you touched on. But, I'll just say that number 5, I went with Vince Young. For me, it was a little bit tougher because I don't know why. For some reason, I almost put Kerry Collins in there at number 5. And there was a reason for it when you think about it, because the time that Vince Young was there, it kind of went from Vince Young to Kerry Collins, back to Vince Young to Kerry Collins. So it kind of just jumped back and forth with them. And I'm like, well, you put Vince Young at number 5. Then you almost have to put Kerry Collins at number 5, because Kerry Collins did start the year that Tennessee went 13-3, but that was also the same year that they were talking about the Y2K with Chris Johnson, when he went off for the over 2,000 yards. Chris Johnson was part of that team. But
well, I mean, if you're going to say that Kerry Collins was top 5, then and because Chris Johnson ran for 2,000 yards, then does that make Ryan Tannehill top 5?
No. I'm not saying that he was top 5 because of that. I'm saying is that the reason why I did not put him on the top 5 was because the year that they went 13-3, that Chris Johnson was there and ran for over 2,000 yards. That was the reason why I'm like, okay, I'll go with Vince Young, because Vince Young did not start that year that they went 13-3. It was Kerry Collins.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree. I hear you. Yeah.
And Vince Young, he was more of that running style quarterback anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Now he could throw. We saw how talented he could be. He was talented enough to do it, but his career was cut short. He had some mental health issues, because after a while he said he actually contemplated suicide at one point because he got replaced due to an injury, and he got replaced by Kerry Collins. And then number 4, I went with Marcus Mariota, which to me was actually kind of tough too. And I'm like, man, should I put him on there? But I had to, because his time in Tennessee was actually pretty good. He did decently in Tennessee, led him to the playoffs a few times. It actually kind of surprised me when they went away from Mariota in a way, but I know why they did it. They did it because of injuries. That's basically what it was, because he couldn't stay healthy. Is he talented? Oh, absolutely. The guy's truly talented. He's got a ton of talent. And then number 3, George Blanda. I went with George Blanda because George Blanda at one time actually had an NFL record tied with Y.A. Tittle for most touchdown passes in a season with 38, until Dan Marino came in and broke that record, of course. But George Blanda actually took them to their very first, what they called the AFL championship. He took them to that. It was their very first one. He won an MVP. And then you also have number 2. This one was tough for me too. I was going back and forth. I'm like, do I want to go with McNair number 1, Warren Moon number 2? But I actually chose to go with Warren Moon at number 2. It was tough. It was really, really tough. I wanted to, but I'm not going to discredit anything that Warren Moon did, because he's got basically every passing record that there is for Tennessee. I don't foresee anybody breaking that. And then I've got number 1 is Steve McNair. Steve McNair was one of those talented quarterbacks that kind of had everything, running, passing, that dual threat. We saw it when he kind of took over in the playoffs. His patented run in the Super Bowl was excellent when they played the Rams. That run, that was brilliant. I love that run in the Super Bowl.
And thanks to Mike Jones and a half a yard, they don't win a Super Bowl. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. They lost the Super Bowl by a half a yard to the greatest show on turf. So, Yeah.
So we honestly almost had the same list because I was contemplating on putting Mariota in there too. So
yeah, we almost all have that same list. But when you think about it, think about this: the year that Tennessee went to that Super Bowl, they went because of the Music City Miracle.
Oh,
if you remember that. So just think if that doesn't happen, Tennessee is not in the Super Bowl that year. But it's kind of interesting though, because to this day it's still a big thing of, was it a lateral? Was it a forward pass? Was it parallel? I mean,
well, you're not wrong. I mean, it's the most talked about controversial play, maybe right up there with the Des Bryant catch or no catch. Those two plays,
the Tom Brady one.
Oh, the tuck rule.
Yeah. But the Music City Miracle, not only did the Titans go to the Super Bowl that year, that was the last year that the Bills made the playoffs for 19 seasons. Like, they were bad for 19 years after that play.
Because the Bills made the mistake that season of deciding to go with Johnson and instead of going with Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie would have gotten that victory. I guarantee Flutie would have won that game if Flutie starts.
Oh, yeah.
But we actually have a question from Will here. Worst combo of 1-2 quarterbacks in the draft. Is it Goff and Wentz, Winston and Mariota, or Luck and RG3?
Ooh.
Oh, well, I guess if I got to vote, I'm gonna go Luck and RG3.
Yeah.
I mean, Luck was good while he played for Indianapolis, but he did nothing. He got them to an AFC championship one time. He did. And then retired early. RG3 had one good year and didn't do anything else. I can't go Goff and Wentz because Wentz is an NFL MVP. And he's getting a second chance. We don't know what he's going to come out.
He never won the MVP. He never won the MVP. He was on track to, but he never won it.
Okay, I said correctly. He played MVP caliber. But my point is, we don't know what he's going to be. He might turn his career around with the Colts. Winston is not a starter in the NFL. He's not. He doesn't deserve to be a starter. That's just how I feel. And Mariota, we saw all of Mariota. Mariota signed to be a backup again with the Raiders. So Mariota's not getting another chance to start in the NFL. And Vic, I'm sorry for saying that. It's just true.
I think Winston might get another shot down the road.
Maybe.
But I'm with
J-Mac. He got his eyes
I'm with J-Mac though. It's tough, but it's Luck and RG3.
Because Luck was supposed to be the next great quarterback in the NFL, and he lasted 6 years, and then he retired because he couldn't take the misery of the NFL season.
I'm not going that route. I just can't do it. I think that Andrew Luck was too talented. I can't do it. I on the other hand, really legitimately, I think I have to go with Goff and Wentz. I just have to. I cannot go with Luck and RG3, and only based upon Andrew Luck. I think the guy was a natural talent. The guy had so much talent. And
you think that Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota have more talent at the quarterback position than Jared Goff and Carson Wentz?
I do.
Okay.
That's
fine. That's your opinion. It's cool, but
that is tough.
Maybe Goff. I'll give you Goff. Okay, but Goff did take his team to a Super Bowl. Has Winston or Mariota done that? Did Luck or RG3 do that?
Here's the thing. So the thing is he talks about O-line. O-line is huge. I mean, the O-line is huge. And when Andrew Luck was there, he didn't have that excellent O-line. He started to get it towards the end of his career when Luck decided to retire. Okay? He did. Now, if Luck would have stuck it out, he would have realized they were starting to build that offensive line and actually give Andrew Luck the offensive line he needed. But like he said his heart wasn't in it. and he was tired of rehabbing every single year and always coming in with an injury. And he said it just wasn't worth the time. It wasn't worth it, having to rehab and then go play and then rehab and go play. It's just not worth it. Now, we know if Andrew Luck would have had an excellent offensive line like now, we know what he could have done. No question. No question. He would have been, and I'm saying it now, Andrew Luck would have probably been top 5 quarterback in the NFL had he had an excellent offensive line and he wasn't always running for his life.
Had RG3 not blown out his knee, where would he be in the NFL? I mean, he blew his knee out. So I'm just saying we could sit and talk about this all day. We all probably have different opinions on this, which there's no wrong answer, by the way. I don't think there's a wrong answer on this question. Because I honestly, those are 3 combos that are modern. I bet if you look back in history, there's a worse 1-2 combo in the history of the NFL, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
Than these two guys, than these guys. But
wasn't there like Leaf and Couch? Weren't they 1-2?
Who?
Leaf and Couch? Tim Couch?
No. It was Peyton
1-2
Manning
was taken
and
Peyton and Leaf, so it wasn't.
Okay, but I got a question with our quarterbacks for today that we talked about. How bad do you think Steve McNair's passing affected Vince Young? Because they were very close. I mean, it seemed like when he passed, Vince Young's game went downhill after that. Or is it just
maybe?
me? Okay.
I agree with Will's last comment, by the way. Maybe Luck and RG3 have the most what could have been potential. I would give him that one. That is unquestioned. I don't think any of us are going to argue that point.
Absolutely. It's what could have been, definitely what could have been. Okay, so now jumping off of this topic before we take too much, because we can talk forever.
By the way, Will Polson, you're still watching, so I got to tell you, of those 6 quarterbacks you named, Jared Goff is the worst. So,
yes. Okay.
Okay, I can't say that.
So our second topic is that NCAA is meeting to see exactly what college players should receive. So what are your thoughts on this? Because we know over time we've seen that they're like, okay, maybe we can put a little bit of money aside, so if they need to fly home for like a funeral, they can do that. If they need to see a doctor, we're going to give them insurance. We're going to do this. So with that, since NCAA is meeting and talking about the college players and talking about what they should receive, what do you think? And Brandon, I'll go ahead and start with you. What do you think that college players actually completely deserve?
It's been a topic for years. Just because they get the scholarships, most of them, a lot of people feel they don't deserve that extra money. I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I mean, if the college is using them to better their advertising and jersey sales and stuff like that, then I think they should get a cut somehow. It'll be interesting to see what the breakdown is, though, on star players, backups. This college versus that college, or the big colleges versus the mid-majors, women's and men's and all that. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. Like I said, I'm 50-50 on it. I'm not going to hate it if they decide to pay them.
Well, we can already see right now it's come a long ways. It's come a long ways from where it was, because back then they couldn't give you housing, they couldn't give you this, they couldn't give you that. But as we see now, the rules have changed over time, and now if you are a college player, you can get housing now. They can give you housing while you're there. They can pay for that. They can pay for your meals. They can, So now they've actually started to throw a lot more stuff out there that college players can actually do. And so, J-Mac, how far do you think you're going to take this?
I don't think you can pay players to play in college, because you're supposed to be an amateur. You're not supposed to be a professional. So I don't think you can actually pay them to play the game. But I agree with a lot of the stuff you said. It used to be an NCAA violation. If I would coach, and I'm coming to recruit Brandon at his house in Minnesota, and I show up to his house and I'm like, "Oh, hey Brandon, let's go have some dinner and talk."
Yeah, you couldn't do that.
I couldn't do that for one, and the second thing was if I got special permission to do it, right, which sometimes they did give special permission for that. So even if I got special permission to do that, but then I said, "Oh, by the way, bring your mom, bring your siblings." Now I am breaking an NCAA rule because I'm taking more than just my recruit, and it's called sweetening the pot or whatever you want to use. That's crazy. That's crazy that was an NCAA violation. That's insane to think about. And so, yeah, if you're going to make money off of someone's likeness, you should do something for them. So whether that money goes back into some kind of fund. So let's say that it goes into, to help them further their career as far as let's face it, there's 122 Division I schools, right? Something like that. And you have how many starters on each team. Then you only have 30 NFL teams. Let's face it, not all these kids are going to make it to the NFL. Just to be honest. So they're not going to make it. They're not going to make it to the next level. So what if you took that money that you're making off of them, you put it into a fund, and the kids that don't make it to the NFL, that money is in there to help them land a job, help them get on their feet, help them after their college career do something with their life, so they don't just graduate college on a football scholarship and not have anything to show for it.
Yeah, but even getting a scholarship, though, is kind of going in the right direction because you're not having to pay for anything when you're there. So that's definitely a step in the right direction just by doing that. It's
definitely a step in the right direction, but if you've seen some of these Chris Webber came out and said it in college basketball when he was there from Michigan. The courses he took to have his full ride. I mean, he took African American Studies 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those were his classes. Okay, that he took on a full ride scholarship. Like, what is that going to do for you in your life? It's not going to. So my point is like, let's either make them take real classes or put the money in to be able to do that. Or give them a head start in life, like once they're done with college. I would be completely okay with that. And it's got to be equal, though. You can't pay starters more and reserves more reserves more than less you pay starters. It's got to be an equal split. And if they do it the right way, you'll have a union rep and you'll figure out all this. You'll figure out what the split is. You'll come down all this. But, yeah, they should have an allowance for, let's say they get, $200 or $100 a week for food. And then you get, you can get 10 pairs of shoes a year because your cleats are going to break. Or if you're a baseball player, you can get a glove and a bat and all that every year. And that's stuff that the school will provide for you. You don't have to buy it for yourself. So I completely agree with all that. I just don't think you can actually pay them because there's no way to really break that down.
Well, no, but that's why this was a topic that was brought up because the NCAA is meeting about – now, I don't know if they're actually meeting about talking about discussion about paying, but I know that they're talking about discussions about exactly what they should provide to the student athletes and how much in depth with what they should give them. So I'm looking at this going, you know what, insurance – that's a great thing.
Yep.
I'm glad they're willing to offer insurance because obviously if a kid's out there playing for your team and he tears his ACL, I mean, he's out there trying to basically make the NFL at that point. Mm-hmm. So he's not going to have that kind of money to have that operation. So it's good that you're willing to offer them the insurance aspect of it for sure.
Yeah, no, I think actually J-Mac's onto something with his way of structuring things. So maybe they need to call J-Mac up and say, hey, we heard you had some great ideas. Let's hear them.
Yeah, the whole paying thing, I don't think that's going to quite work.
That's going to be hard.
All right, so jumping into our next topic. So we're going to talk about the women's college basketball side. So when we talk about the women's college basketball side, UConn, the Lady UConn team, okay, this is their 14th straight Final Four. I want to know, how impressive is this? And J-Mac, you go ahead and start. How impressive is 14 straight years of making the Final Four?
How impressive is that? I don't even know that there's words that could describe how impressive that is. That means that the last time they didn't make a Final Four, like I was in my early 20s. That's insane to think about. That's crazy. That means since what, 2007? They've made the Final Four every year since 2007. That's crazy. Can you remember what you're doing in 2007? I have no clue.
I was still in high school. I was a senior.
There you go, right there. Like the last time they didn't make the Final Four, you were in high school.
2008. Yeah, 2008. They say here.
That's nuts. That's crazy. 2008. Every year since 2008. I don't even know what to say. It's probably the greatest team accomplishment of all time. And I don't even know.
I don't like that for pro sports and everything, or what?
Yeah. How can you not? I don't know how you can't put that in there. That's insane. 14 years in a row being in what they call the pinnacle. Geez, Will, why you have to throw that in there? I was 9 the last time. Boy. But yeah, so the pinnacle of college sports and it's not just basketball. I mean, they have the Frozen Four in hockey. They have everything comes around four. Like if you're one of the Final Four teams in any sport, you're one of the best. And to say that a team has done this 14 consecutive seasons, that means if they had every player play 4 years, they're on their fourth cycle of players that have all made it to the Final Four. That'd be the easiest recruiting in the history of recruiting. You walk into a school and you're like, play for us, you're going to the Final Four.
Well, and then they haven't missed the NCAA tournament since '89. So
yeah, but when you're talking about overall though, like the Final Four is a lot rougher to get to.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Making the tournament. So when you're talking about 14 straight years, and the thing is you're right. When they walk in and they're like, if you want to play for us, we guarantee you a Final Four. How many colleges can you walk into that the college is going to be like, I guarantee you a Final Four? We will do a Final Four.
There's one.
Right.
And they've only missed the Elite Eight once since 2005. So
think about that.
That's easy recruiting right there. I mean,
easy recruiting. You could walk into the best player in the country and you're like, you're going to play for UConn because we're going to the Final Four. Like, where do I sign? Like, that's it. There's nothing else needs to be said. I mean,
go in and go, what's your goals? What's your goals in basketball? You want to make the NCAA tournament? Okay, we do that. You want to make the Elite Eight? Okay, we do that. You want to make the Final Fours? Okay, we do that. We've won the last.
I bet if we did the research, they could even walk in and say, by the way, we've made the Final Four 14 years in a row. And then there's the WNBA. And do you know that like 70% of the WNBA players came out of UConn?
Oh,
I mean.
Yeah, it's crazy though, because it's interesting how people talk about March Madness, but they talk about the men's side. And then you see something like this to where you're like, don't you understand? Like, I get that you want to talk about the men's side of the bracket, and people talk about how good those games are and some of the records, like a 16 beating a 1 and a 15 beating a 2. Okay, that's great and all, but how many people knew that the ladies UConn team made it 14 consecutive years to the Final Four? I don't think that there was a lot of people who knew that. And if there was a lot of people who knew it, people would be like, wow, that's really, really impressive. Because it is one of the most okay, so this comment's funny. You can't tell me the UConn coach doesn't walk in and the girl doesn't instantly commit.
Yeah.
Right, exactly, right?
I mean, think about being that female high school basketball player. You get a letter in the mail that says Connecticut wants you. You're like, I'm going to the Final Four. Yeah, like that's it. It's
Right.
over. And
Yeah,
then if you're the coach of another team, so if you're the coach of Tennessee or Arizona in women's, and you find out that UConn sent out a letter to that girl, you're like, well, shoot, she's not coming here.
right. And so when we talk about 14 straight years of making it, how long do you think that they can make it before they finally miss out on a Final Four?
I mean, I would have said it wasn't possible to hit 14 years. So I don't know. 20?
I counted about 45 players from UConn's made it to the WNBA.
That's insane.
Yeah.
The
But Ace,
WNBA
with your last question, I don't see the
think about what is there 12 teams in the WNBA, 16 teams? I wish I knew that, and I feel bad that I don't. But even at 12 teams and 12 players a team, that's 144 players in the WNBA, and 45 of them came from the same school.
So this comment's actually funny. Imagine picking another school over UConn.
I couldn't.
Stanford, maybe?
Everyone in your life, if you're like, yeah, I'm not going to go to UConn, I'm gonna go to Tennessee, and then when you're sitting on that bench, you're sitting at home watching the Final Four, and your mom's like, yeah, if only you would have went to UConn. Stupid.
Right, but now just think about when people fill out their bracket, because this is a sobering statistic that I saw that I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So when it comes to it, they actually had a statistic that said over the 14 straight years of UConn winning the Final Four, or I should say going to the Final Four, there was 30% of people who did the women's bracket that refused to put UConn in the Final Four because they kept saying this year is not their year. They're not going to make it. This year, they're not going to make it. So 30% of the people who did that were not picking them to make the Final Four.
I mean, they're almost being like Duke and Kentucky this year. Everybody, always expects them in there. So the day that they're not in the tournament, it'll be the day that we all talk about how the streak ends and, wow, UConn's not in the tournament. So,
by the way, I got to say this real quick because I heard that this is they had the controversy about wasn't it a foul at the end of the Baylor-UConn game, if you remember that whole thing. Yeah. And then they asked LeBron what he thought, and LeBron was like, oh, that's a foul. The coach should feel bad, and he took a Final Four appearance away from those other girls, and he should feel bad about that. And the UConn women's coach, Gino Auriemma, best answer ever. He just comes out, they ask him about what LeBron said, and he's like, huh. Well, when's the last time he's come out and said he made a mistake and he gave the game to the other team?
Yeah.
Okay, so no, this is a great one too. I'll be more impressed when they aren't a number one seed. Forget the Final Four. Correct, because I don't remember the last time that this UConn ladies team was not a number one seed going into March Madness.
I mean, yeah, let's fact check that. Let's see where we're at with that. But
it's never probably.
Yeah, right. Like they've made it since '89, so I don't know what, 91 maybe.
Well, I mean, they've been. Yeah, I can't remember the last time that they were not a number one seed, but this is one of those impressive records that if we were to ever do another topic on most impressive records ever, this would definitely be one of the ones that would have to be up there.
So
for sure,
no doubt.
Oh yeah,
for sure. So we have somebody. So we have Will who's saying that he'll give them the Final Four for the rest of our remaining lives. J Mac, you're saying you give them till about 20 years.
Oh yeah,
it'll be the 20-year mark. And then Brandon, how long you giving them?
until a superstar tells them no. I mean, I don't know. It could be 20 years. It could be the rest of our lifetime. I mean, until 5 players straight say, no, we're not going to UConn, I don't see any top recruits not going to UConn. So this could go on forever.
Well, this UConn team might be possibly the best college team ever on the female side, pretty much, because they've been at a point to where they went 90 plus games without losing. They're 14 straight years in the Final Four. They're number 1 seed every single year. So you can almost pencil them in on that every single year. And it would always be nice to be that one team that comes out that says, yeah, we're the ones who beat UConn. We beat the lady.
Yeah. So I'm looking now. It looks like 2016 was the last time they weren't ranked number 1. And before that, it was 2004, 2006.
Right. Yeah.
Last time. Yeah.
Right.
Last time they weren't ranked number 1.
So not only are you telling me they've been to the Final Four 14 straight years, you're also telling me that for 15 consecutive 14 out of 15 of those seasons, they've been a number 1 seed in the tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Will's not wrong. UConn women's basketball will go down as the dynasty.
Oh yeah.
Not a dynasty, the dynasty.
Because when people come back and they're like, "Oh, our dynasty was but were you UConn women's basketball dynasty?" Good.
Well, no, because it's funny though too, because people talk about Alabama in college football. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. You can talk about Alabama and their accomplishments. But when you put Alabama's accomplishments in college football up to this UConn ladies basketball team, there's no comparison. You can't compare it.
You can't. It is like Will's other post that says, "Oh yeah, they only went like 90 plus games without losing. Yeah. Nothing special." Like,
oh, absolutely.
So I will tell you the first thing that will have to happen for them to not be in the Final Four, and that is Gino Auriemma is going to have to retire. Yeah. As long as he's the coach there, as long as he's got I've been in the Final Four for 14 consecutive seasons. I've put 45 players in the WNBA. He's got those recruiting tools. Another school will never touch UConn, not until he's gone.
I've been a number 1 seed for 14 of the last 15 years.
Yeah, I mean,
just think of the people he can call to get the superstars in the WNBA he can call, and just be, hey, I want you to talk to this player here. I mean, the list, like you said, 45 players have made it. So his phone directory is probably just filled with numbers.
That dude's resume is crazy.
Yeah,
it's just insane.
So. Yeah, right. I mean, that's the first thing. He's going to have to retire. As long as he's there, they're going to be in the Final Four, and they're probably going to be a number 1 seed. That's just the way it is. So,
yep.
All right. So now we'll jump off this topic, and we will go to JMac Spotlight player. So who do you have tonight for your Spotlight player?
It's a UConn player, I bet.
It's not. It's actually not a UConn player. You would have thought after leading up to all that it would have been.
That would have been a coincidence.
Now, I'll tell you this. We'll go through some stats here. And what do you consider in baseball? What do you consider, because it's the eve of opening day, that's why we're doing a baseball player tonight. What would you guys consider a lock for the Hall of Fame? Give me some stats that you have to be a lock for the Hall of Fame.
Ooh.
Well, first of all, what position are we talking about? Are we talking about pitcher?
He'd be hitter. He mainly first base.
So I would say, if you're considered a lock, it's a 300 average. You hit close to the 500, if not over 500 home runs and 3,000 hits.
Well, Brandon, I gotta say, right now that 300 average thing is not so much there anymore.
No, it's not. But I mean, if
this day and age and this time now in baseball, the 300 average basically means nothing now.
Yep, it's about 250 now.
So with that, so if you you said close to 500 home runs, right?
If not over, yeah.
If not over, close. How many RBIs do you think? What's the number at RBIs?
Well, God,
Over
that's
1,000 at least. Over 1,000.
Yeah, you got to figure your first baseman. They typically try to, 90 to 100 every year back in the day. Nowadays, it's whatever they can get. So, yeah, I'm with the A's, probably 1,000 or so.
Absolutely.
So what if a guy? So let me just read you these stats. You tell me if you think he should be a lock for the Hall of Fame. Okay.
Okay.
So career batting average 284. I get that's a little low as far as the career batting average.
A what? A 284?
284. Yep.
Well,
284.
that's not terrible.
That's
though.
not terrible.
That's not terrible.
No, not at all. Okay, so career plate appearances is 10,174. Career at bats is 8,757. He scored 1,349 career runs. He had 2,490 career hits, 441 doubles, 493 home runs, 1,550 RBIs in his career. Those are his career numbers. He had a career slugging percentage of 509 and an OPS of 886. By the way, he walked 1,305 times in his career.
At first base, huh?
And this is
At
first
first base.
Right?
So, yes, it's first base. So, would you, if you were a voting committee and you saw those numbers, is that Hall of Fame?
I would consider it.
What was the home runs and hits again?
Home runs was 493.
Okay, so he's 7
had-
short.
He had 2,490 career hits.
A little low.
Well, no, but now
But he scored. Now, just keep this in mind.
Yeah.
He scored 1,349 runs, and he had 1,550 RBIs.
is he a first ballot? Maybe not, but I
No.
would say go ahead. But I would say go ahead and put him in.
Yeah,
Do any of you have a guess as who the player is?
That's what I was trying to figure out who the player could be.
Now, he played 19 seasons in the big leagues. I'll give you that much.
Adam Dunn.
Five-time All-Star, 3-time Silver Slugger.
I don't think when you talk about a career batting average and you say 284 and you put Adam Dunn's name in there,
Yeah.
I would instantly say that that's inaccurate because Adam Dunn, his batting average.
God,
was
is
freaking
Molitor, not
atrocious.
Molitor, is Manley in the Hall of Fame?
I don't
Donnie
know. I have to
Baseball?
look that up.
'Cause that's who I would think those numbers were, but
Well,
So-
those numbers that I listed off belong to Fred McGriff.
Oh, McGriff,
wow.
the crime
Oh,
dog.
he's not in the Hall of Fame yet?
He's
crime
not in the
dog.
Hall of Fame.
Wow.
And those are his numbers. Though you look at some of the other guys in the Hall of Fame and then look at his numbers. And yes, he played in the steroid era, and I understand.
Oh, there's
that.
no way he was on that.
But he was never. He
No.
never was even talked about using steroids in any way.
No.
Um,
I don't think he ever changed size. It looked like he was still a stick figure every time I saw him play.
he played 10 years. He played 10 years in the AL, 9 years in the NL, and his numbers are almost identical on both sides.
Played for your Braves, didn't he?
Yes.
He did 5 years for Atlanta, and he was part of the World Series run. So, but yeah, those numbers, and he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he should be.
I mean, someone explained that one to me. I read those numbers, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me that he's not in the Hall of Fame yet.
Because he played in the steroid era.
And
Any
like
other
Wilson,
era, before the
Wilson,
era,
put him in. Like he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, some of those voters, they need to open their eyes a little bit more and get some of these guys in there. So I didn't know. I didn't. Wow, that shocks me.
Yeah, I mean, he had more than 100 RBIs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times in his career. He drove in more than 100 runs. 8 times.
And he played on the Braves, which was a good RBI team.
Yeah.
Toronto, I believe.
So if you took his entire career and averaged it out every 162 games, so every full season that he played, he averaged 32 home runs and 102 RBIs a season with a 284 batting average. And you're telling me that's not
Hall of Fame. That's Hall of Fame.
And Will, the answer was Fred McGriff. He was doing a fact check on something, so you want to know, because I tried to tell him that Adam's Dunn batting average was horrible, like not even close to 284. He sucked. Will saying
Keith
that
Hernandez.
an amazing spotlight player is Keith Hernandez.
Okay, we'll look into that one.
Oh.
I'll look that one up, and we'll do that one next time. But Fred McGriff, to me, deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Let's make this happen.
Yeah, that's shocking.
All right. So now we jump to the final. Now we jump to Ace's mini game. And the last several weeks, we've been doing trivia. The week before, we did trivia of the Minnesota Vikings, and then last week, Brandon stepped into J-Mac's world, and
I didn't get shut out, so that's all I'm happy about.
The Green Bay Packers. So this week, I'm actually following suit to the top 5 quarterbacks list that we did. So this week, we're actually doing trivia of the Tennessee Titans.
Oh boy! Good luck, J-Mac.
All right, so J-Mac, since you won last week,
awesome.
You get the option. Are you going first or second?
I'm going to go first this time.
You're going first.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the first question is, what year did the team move to Tennessee?
1997.
And that is correct. So you have one on the board right there already. All right. Brandon Herrera, your question. Who threw the first TD pass in team history?
We're talking about when they first came into the league, or we're talking about when they became Tennessee?
We are talking. This is for actual. This would be the Tennessee Titans, I'm guessing. Oh no, this is Oilers / Titans.
Okay.
So,
I'll go Blanda.
And you are correct.
Wow.
So it's 1-1 on that. Wow. Okay. Ooh, J-Mac, I know you know this one. Which Titans receiver was tackled 1 yard short of a potential game-tying TD?
Oh man, what was his name? Oh, because he went on to play for Baltimore. Shit. Kevin Dyson.
You got it.
Oh, good.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of the guy we said earlier, but I couldn't even remember that guy's name.
No, Mike Jones was the guy that tackled him.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Brandon, your question. What Titans quarterback was named to the Pro Bowl despite throwing more interceptions than touchdowns?
Oh, come on.
Ooh. Mariota.
That is not correct.
No.
J-Mac, do you want a chance to steal?
Vince Young.
That is correct. Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't know that, actually, Brandon. That actually.
No, it was
you.
up there, but for some reason, Mariota's name was like hitting me harder than Young's. That's why I was kind of debating on those two. So,
all right, J-Mac, this question comes to you. So it's 3-1 J-Mac at the moment. What year did the franchise win its first league championship?
Oh, I just read this with George Blanda. Dang it. 1962.
That is not correct.
Bye.
Brandon. It's right there.
God, we just looked at them. I'll go 1960.
That is correct. 1960 is the correct answer.
God, I pulled that one out of where I'm sitting at right now.
Right. So now it's JMac 3, Brandon 2. Okay. So, Brandon, this question's for you. Which running back was known as the human bowling ball?
Oh, there ain't many. God dang it. No, I don't know. I can't. The only name that's popped in my head is Henry, and I know it's not him.
No, it's not. JMac, you have a
Yeah.
guess?
Well, it's one of two. If it's Titans running backs, and I don't think it's the first one that came to mind. I'm going to say Eddie George,
Oh, that's who I was. Oh,
but I
But
believe
Eddie-
it's the other one. I believe it's the other one I was thinking of. So
What other one were you thinking of?
Earl Campbell.
But neither of them was actually correct.
oh, wow.
The correct answer was Charlie Tolaire.
Oh, Eddie George was who I was thinking of, and I couldn't pull his name out of my hat.
All right. Who had that last
Henry
question?
could be.
Oh, yeah. So
I
it's
did.
JMac. Yeah, it's JMac's question. Which player won NFL Offensive Player of the Year in each of his first 3 seasons?
Warren Moon.
No, that is not the correct answer.
I'm gonna go McNair.
And that is not the correct answer either. The correct answer is actually Earl Campbell.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so this question comes to Brandon. Okay. Which position did Hall of Fame offensive lineman Bruce Matthews play most often during his NFL career?
You got to be kidding me. That's the question you get.
Oh God.
The Matthews family is like the most famous NFL family
Yes,
there
they are.
is.
Center.
And that is not correct.
Oh.
J-Mac, what is it?
Left tackle.
That is not right either.
Oh.
It's actually left guard.
Yeah.
I was thinking tackle too, and yeah.
All right. So this question goes to J-Mac. Which head coach led the Oilers to 2 consecutive AFC championship games?
Oh, Bum Phillips.
And that is correct. So chalk one up.
What are we, 4-2?
Yeah, 4-2. All right. Brandon, this question comes to you. Which Titan was ejected from a game for stomping on an opponent's head?
Oh, I do know. I know who this is.
Oh. God. Nobody's coming to mind. Go ahead, J-Mac, take it.
Albert Hainsworth.
And that is correct.
Yeah.
So J-Mac wins it 5-2. It was Albert Hainsworth.
So this might help. This would have helped you remember, Brandon. Albert Hainsworth got ejected for stepping on some guy's head with no helmet on, by the way.
Right,
And
yeah.
then they released him. And then Dan Schneider for the Redskins was like, "Oh, that's the kind of guy I want in Washington," and then gave him a 7-year, $100 million deal.
Yeah. No, it was. I knew once you said the name, I would, recall.
So you guys knew a little bit more about Tennessee than what you thought.
I think we're just
A little
football guys. Like,
Yeah. Or it's just because we just studied them for the last few days.
I mean, that could be.
Right. Exactly, right? All right. So with that, Brandon, you got 30 seconds. Any remaining things you need to say?
No, thanks for everybody for watching. Will, glad to see you commenting again. I know you've been busy, but tomorrow, one of my favorite days of the year, opening day. Hope the Twins start off hot and finish hot, and we'll see where they go. So good opening day eve, I guess, and we'll see what tomorrow brings.
All right, J-Mac, anything else?
Just add on to that opening day of baseball season tomorrow, April 1st. No fooling, by the way. It's all 30 teams play tomorrow, 15 games. It's going to be awesome. It starts at 10:02 my time as first pitch, and it's going to go pretty much until 10 o'clock at night my time.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome. 12 straight hours of baseball. Every team playing tomorrow. By the way, we're going to have some live coverage, so check that out. That'll be on the Four Bros Radio Show. We might have some special guests, maybe Ace, maybe Brendan. Don't know yet. We haven't figured it all out, but we'll see what we're doing tomorrow. But check that all out. Opening day of baseball season, the third best day of the year, by the way.
And I'll tell you what, Lindor today signed a ridiculous contract.
Yeah.
10 years, $341 million.
Getting some of that Bobby Bonilla money.
Man, right?
So.
All right. So with that, I want to thank everybody for watching. This was another episode of Sports Minute. And of course, we will see you again Saturday for another episode of Sports Minute. Y'all take care and have a good night.
All sports, all